once I started the divorce process and finally talked to an attorney, within 20 minutes, the attorney said, yours is going to be one of the really bad ones. And I was astonished because I thought it was going to be amicable. We had already agreed. I'd taken all this time. And later, when I was writing the book, I asked my attorney, how did you know? And, but he was right. And it did take a year. And instead of costing what I was terrified was $10,000, it cost $100,000, which I always say I'm going to be paying back forever. And it basically also cost about 10 years in court, because at the end of that year, just before we settled, my lawyer said, your ex is not going to comply with this agreement and you cannot afford me anymore. You're going to have to go pro se or represent yourself. I'll be in the background, but if you use me, or probably most lawyers, he's going to financially decimate you. So that was the beginning of my journey as a pro se or self-represented litigant. And I spent about a year and 9 months really building my case before I filed again. And at the end of 2017, and it took a year to get the first big set of orders post-judgment.
That's absolutely fascinating that you ended up, you know, representing yourself, because most people would absolutely be terrified at going through that, especially when you've been dealing with a lawyer. There's something that you mentioned that I want to jump back, because you said at the moment when your lawyer had turned around and said to you, this is going to be one of the worst cases. How did that make you feel at that moment?
Shocked. I thought, he has to be wrong. Why? I mean, I always thought that my ex had been a good person who had done some bad things. And I thought that he would remain a good person. I thought that he would remain an involved parent. It was completely the opposite. So, but my lawyer was absolutely right. And later when I interviewed him for the book, and, you know, I don't know if you want to get into that now, but we came up with a list.
I do want to get in, not now, but I do want to get into this.
Yeah. Of like a few factors of indicators of high conflict divorce that I now realize my case involved, because I had no idea what I was dealing with at the time. Again, I thought he was a good person who had done some bad things. I didn't understand domestic violence. I didn't understand personality disorders. It was only later that I realized, and 1 in 2 people in abusive relationships have no idea what's going on.
No, they don't actually. You mentioned that your ex-partner led a double life in oh, I don't want to go into that in totally, but was that an official double life, as in he worked for the security services in some way?